duty.
It's much.
Will, what's happening, brother?
Oh man, I'm excited to be here, baby.
What's happening, man?
Thank you for the thank you. This is first off, it's a beautiful, beautiful studio. Like I don't know if could they see everything? Could they see everything?
They can see what we want them to see.
There's a lot of love here, and you know, I could tell. You know, I know we just kind of man, we vibed out, and you put a lot of love, a lot of emphasis on, you know, your vision, and this is beautiful. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this.
No, man, and thank you for taking our time to come to Spark.N.STRIDE Studios and be a part of Spark.N.STRIDE, the grassroots or the early part of Spark.N.STRIDE. I really appreciate it. But hey, Will, welcome to Spark.N.STRIDE, where conversations are sparked and put in motion. There's just so much that that we could go back and forth about. There's so much that I'm interested to hear from you, right? So at all costs, man, just forget about the lights, forget about the cameras, and let's just have a conversation. You know,
let's do it.
So,
let's do it. That's what we're here.
Your LiveMore organization, like what sparked that? Like how did that start?
We all have sharks along the road that we navigate through. You know, sharks. You swim through sharks every day. You know, waves go up and down, and there was a very crucial part in my life where I was very distraught. I was, you know, sort of down. My aunt and my uncle, they both passed away with cancer, and baseball was huge in my career, still is, and I had bigger aspirations, you know, to go further in the game until I was sprained my ankle. And LiveMore came about not letting things get to you, not letting things affect you in your life, you know, having an opportunity where through outlets you could aspire your life to do greater things, to live more, to love more, to love living, which is my mantra. Mm-hmm. So about 6 years ago now, during that time, you know, there was just a switch in my head. I said, look, I'm not gonna let this situation get to me. You know, my mom and dad, they raised me well, you know, and I've always had, you know, that foundation, that support system. Mm-hmm. And I knew that at that time, though baseball wasn't working out, I said, all right, I got to do something else, you know, and I still wanted to do something big, something that I created. Like, that's creation, you know. Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the beauties of life, where you could create something that's your own, just like, you know, we're doing here. And, you know, so LiveMore was just inspired to give people an outlet, an opportunity, so they could help themselves in whatever situation they come their way, whether it's careers, relationships, you know, situations that we all face, sharks along the road, like I said earlier. So it's a platform where I could give people an opportunity to better themselves in their life. And it's structured around health and wellness. You know, I became a certified life coach soon after, and I just wanted to help people. You know, I'm inspired when I see somebody in the gym, you know, pushing through their sharks and pushing through their challenges and their adversities. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a strong character that you build. That's why people, you know, every day they look for, all right, what's next? So,
how hard is it to be a life coach?
It's difficult, but it's also rewarding. You know, if you don't mind me asking, how did you came about, you know, this inspiration, Spark.N.STRIDE?
Yeah, so Spark.N.STRIDE, right? You know, I've mentioned it a few times on the podcast, but ultimately, I just finished up 24 years in the Air Force, and one of my main jobs, like my last position that I held, was being a first sergeant. And for those that are listening who are not familiar with what a first sergeant is in the Air Force, that's the person in the unit that has to have the pulse of what's going on, so that way you can advise the commander on the health, morale, and welfare of all of the members of the unit, right? So in that, you're dealing with like all sorts of things. You're dealing with the best day of somebody's life, you know, like their firstborn, you know, a promotion or like an assignment that they were really hoping to get. Yeah. And then you also deal with the other end of that spectrum, and it could be a DUI, it could be a domestic issue at home, it could be financial issues. There's just so many things that you're dealing with, but ultimately you're charged with the health and morale of all the unit members, right? So with that being said, one of the things that we're passionate about in the service or in the military is the wellness of our members, right? So that encompasses like all kind of stuff, right? That's physical wellness, that's spiritual, that's folks that are battling demons and substance abuse, whatever it is, right? So for me, my inspiration for Spark.N.STRIDE was that I wanted to, number one, have a platform where folks that have a message that they want to echo have a place to do it, right? So that was one thing that was like inspiring for me to want to put together. The words spark and stride. Spark, I envision spark as being motivated, thinking outside the box, continuously reinventing yourself, just ultimately continuously thinking about what's next, right?
Yes.
Just continuously, right? And then
Sparkles.
Right. And then the stride part is actually putting those ideas or the commitment to your idea, it's putting it in motion.
Yes.
And making it, come to life for the most part. But yeah, that's how this whole thing came about. The color scheme that you see, it's to me, it represents, depending on how you're looking at it, it could be a sunrise or a sunset.
Oh wow. Yes. I see that now.
Yeah. And what it is that no matter what season you're in your life, current, right, that you always have the opportunity to reset. So that's the whole part of it, right? That you could be going through a tough time or you could be going through a great time, but whatever it is, you have the opportunity, self-acknowledgement and realization that you can reset. Yeah, so that was like my whole thing, like behind Spark and Stride, but there's more to it. I mean, I could I could get into it.
But that's why I ask. Thank you for sharing that. But you asked me about is it difficult to be a life coach? It's hard work, but it's not hard, right? It's hard work, but it's not hard. Why? Because people are showing you, their greatest vulnerabilities, their greatest, the things that are most vulnerable to them. Some of them, they share their life stories and, like this is your baby. This is what, you're creating. And this is something that's unique to you. So when you become a life coach or even a personal trainer, sometimes you get really close to, your clients, and they share some moments and maybe they're like, you know what, I don't feel like working out. So why? Because my grandma passed away, or I've figured I have something wrong with my house, it broke and I can't afford it. Whatever it might be. So you're almost like an outlet to them. So you have to kind of like let yourself go and take a step back, because we all have our own stories. We all have our own situations. And sometimes I was talking to our boy Nelson the other day, and I was saying how people are your greatest assets in life. You never know what you could offer me, what I could offer you by just speaking. Maybe there's one word that you told me that changed my whole outlook, my whole perspective. So it's important to speak and communicate, but you don't, when you see someone in the street, you say, hey, how are you? Oh, I'm good. How are you? You really don't take time to really say, no, look, I'm good. And you take a moment and you be present. We're missing that in society. We're not present anymore. And that's why I think mental health, it's a big issue, especially if you live in the city, Chicago, LA, Boston. You're moving. You're always moving. You're never taking time to really appreciate the moment. And there's a way to it. I know I talk a lot, but there's a segue back to it. But
listen, Will, this is what we're supposed to be doing. Yeah. So don't feel that you're speaking on that you're ranting. This is what Spark and Stride is. So please, brother, continue.
So that being said, exactly, that's what I like. Just appreciating the moment. So whoever's listening out, the other day I was in an elevator with my girlfriend, and it was just 6-7 random people. And then I said, hey, did anybody practice the elevator pitch? Everybody started laughing, I get it, that's funny. And it's like, hey, we had a moment and everybody just laughed, and we're never going to see each other again. And maybe we are, who knows? But just appreciate the now. And if somebody is saying, hey, I'm good, say, oh, what's good about it? Tell me about your day. If you have some time. I know everybody's rushing, but it's important. So life coach emphasizes that, that idea of, hey, we're people. You have some things that maybe I could learn from. I have some things that maybe you could learn from, and not being afraid to be a little vulnerable. Right. And we're missing that. And that's more my foundation is about, live more, to love living, to think beyond, your scope. They always say, definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And, I've always been a person where I want to do other things. So like, all right, what's next? You did a podcast, you did, you worked out today, maybe you learned a new dance, you learn how to cook. You went out and, you learn how to golf. Who knows? That's what life is about. You're trying everything, because all we have is this moment. I don't know if I'm going to get my car and get home today. Me and Nelly were talking about that. Like, so let's appreciate now, and I'm very religious. I don't try to push it off to other people, so it's important. When's the last time you actually had a genuine, outside of this, like a genuine conversation with someone, and then they just started tearing up? I mean, could you remember that? How does that make you feel?
Yeah. So what's interesting, what's interesting about that question is that while I was in the Air Force for such a long time, as you continue to grow as a leader, you're put into like all these different positions and so forth. And at many times you're a mentor for folks, and folks come to you with their personal issues or whatever it might be. And there have been several occasions where someone was vulnerable to the point that they did cry, or they have cried in front of me or so forth. And that was one of the things that I felt I wanted to continue to do after retirement, was to have a platform. I shouldn't say platform, but have position where I could continuously hear people. And ultimately, I just feel like I have way more to give, right?
Yes.
I'm just doing it in a different capacity. I'm not doing it in uniform anymore. But to answer your question, lately, the only person that has been crying in front of me has been my daughter. But but ultimately, yeah, no, man, it's a good feeling when you could be there for someone, be an ear for someone, and just remind people that it's gonna be okay.
Yes,
it's gonna be okay. Man, I want to say something. You were talking about being in the city, asking people how they're doing, and that kind of thing. That's important, man. That's really, really important to be able to, like, I'll share something with you. So, we've had some pretty good things happen in my household over the past few weeks, right? Like, it was my birthday, it was my daughter's birthday. Just a lot of many blessings, right? My wife was talking to me, and I stopped and I paused and I said, I was trying to tell her, hey, like, don't forget to pause and allow yourself gratitude for all these blessings. She looked at me like I was crazy, but I think ultimately she got where I was kind of going with that. And to your point, we're moving so fast. Sometimes you're so blessed that you don't even acknowledge how blessed you are because you're just moving so fast, So one of the things that I've been trying to learn how to do is how to meditate. So I'm like 3 weeks in, and so I've been getting up early before the whole house wakes up or anything, and I started with trying to be still for 3 minutes. That's hard, man.
It's difficult. Yeah. And that's when I have a new client, usually, they come to me just to work out. Hey, I want to lose weight. And I say, all right, tell me a little bit about you, your history, how you eat, this and that. And they just say, I just want to lose weight. I'm like, okay, let's talk about who you are. This has to be a motivational factor into it. Maybe, they want to feel happier. Maybe they just want to wake up feeling less bloated. Maybe they have a son they want to play catch with, and they want to make sure that they're healthy. So it comes in all different ways, and I feel like in life we gotta take time, like I said, to appreciate the moment, but also be able to try new things and not be afraid to fail. Many of us in society, we're afraid to fail. I failed a lot, and that's why you have some successes down the line. I'm sure you failed a lot because tons. The greatest of people learn that it's okay to fail and not being afraid to. And once you allow yourself, to really be vulnerable with yourself, understanding, all right, what's my weaknesses? What's my strengths? How can I make my strengths even stronger? How can I make my weaknesses a little less weak?
Right,
you have time to, like, all right, this is what I could do. So, really being a life coach, and just the other day, I got an opportunity to. I'm also a police officer. I got the opportunity to. I used to be a police cadet. So police cadet, basically, you're like a little cop without a gun. Mm-hmm. So they show you how
in one of the most dangerous cities in the
NYPD. But it's definitely set the foundations so the fruits could grow in my life, and it's opened me, many opportunities. Sometimes I forget I'm a police officer because I'm always all over the place. But I'm thankful because I have the opportunity to just help someone, make somebody's day, and it's come with its up and downs, and I'm an optimist by nature. I look at the glass half full, not half empty. So
yeah, me too, man, for sure.
Yeah, so, and it's important too, but it could be a very disgruntling job. You're not people not calling you like, hey, happy birthday. They're calling you like, yo, listen, am I getting into a fight? I'm in the rooftop. There's a gun here. Oh, you never know what you're gonna get. It's a very spontaneous job. So, by that being said, I got an opportunity to share some of the things I've done with the Cadet Corps class. Mm-hmm. And it was funny because during my speeches, I used to do a lot more, but I had an opportunity to address about 200 or 250 of these younger cadets. You know, that some of them are just using it just for a paycheck because it's like an internship. Some of them really aspire to actually join the career of law enforcement, and some they just they're curious. They're like, hey, should I be? Should I not? And I was asked a lot about community service, some of the work I've done, with my nonprofit, with health and wellness. And I just took time and I said, everybody stand up. I was like, why is he having me stand up? I said, I had some people pass out little white notes. And I said, please do me a favor. Write down in that little white note how you're feeling right now. And then they wrote, and then I said, close your eyes. And I related it back to baseball because, baseball, I was like, just throw it at me. Throw me that piece of paper. They were like, what? I was like, yeah, throw it at me. And I said, and they all threw it to me. And then I said, look, life is going to throw you many different things, and it doesn't matter. Look, I stood here strong and I'm nervous. I'm nervous right now, but it's fine. I don't care,
right.
Because it makes you grow. And later I'm going to watch and be like, oh, maybe I said that word too many times. That's how you get better. But during this moment, I had everybody throw me their word. And I said, listen, life is going to throw you many different things. You're going to have many adversities, many challenges, but it's important you just stay grounded, because you have a strong foundation. You have a support system. You find that support system anywhere, and every support system is different. Maybe you were, born with just one dad or just one family member. Maybe you're an orphan. Who knows? Everybody's situation is different. So during that time, they sat back down, and then I went and I picked up like 200 pieces of paper around me. So I just walked by and I said, let me pick one up. Oh, I'm feeling tired. Oh, I'm feeling lonely. Oh, I'm feeling happy. So I said, look, if you look at your person next to you, left and right of you, you have more in common than you think so.
For sure.
So just take time to try to appreciate the moment. So that's why I do life coaching. And I know I talk a lot, so I forgot exactly the question, but I think it's important where, you add some time. And, is there one person that you could think of that inspires you every day?
So there's a few things I want to tell you because one of the cool things about being able to do a podcast, and one of the cool things of one of my experiences of being in the military was that I was an Air Force recruiter for roughly 10 years. And one of the things that they teach you in Air Force recruiting is how to actively listen. So it's different than listening. Listening, you're just almost like you're preparing yourself to respond back to what the person's saying. Active listening is you're picking up on everything. You're picking up on the body language, how certain words are being said. So while you're speaking right now, I'm just kind of like absorbing a whole bunch of things. So there's a few things I want to go back to, right? So but then I'm going to answer your question in terms of like someone who's like inspired or right. So you went back and you were talking about like folks that have been successful due to failure or people who have failed but then have been successful.
Yes.
That's something that you mentioned. So I had a buddy of mine on the podcast. His name is Cyrus, and he is one of the top real estate trainers in the country. And one of the things that we were talking about on the podcast was, could you imagine, right? Could you imagine no Michael Jordan? Like, could we imagine that? Right? Because what they don't talk, Michael Jordan is known as the GOAT.
Yes.
6 championships.
Revolutionized Nike.
Right? But could you picture what we know of Michael Jordan to not be? Right? Yeah, so what he was getting at is like, had he quit when he got cut from his high school team, right? Had he quit, there would be no Michael Jordan, right? There would be someone else you mentioned, Beyonce, right? So could you imagine music without Beyonce?
I know I couldn't.
Right.
Look at Disney. I mean, we could talk about this all day, but it's important. Like the aspect of failure and having a strong foundation.
There was a time where Beyonce was booed off a stage with Destiny's Child.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the very beginning. Could you imagine her stopping or losing her spark or her inspiration and not continuing on? Right. So
the mental fortitude
yeah,
she must have had. Like,
for sure. Right. So back to the whole thing of like staying in it. You know, failure is a win, in my opinion. If you can learn from your failures and figure out how to find the drive to keep putting it forward. Right. There was something else that you had mentioned. So in terms of like who inspires me, like who like I kind of get inspiration from, it's my daughter, right? Because there is such a level of innocence that, you know, even if she's having a bad day, it's still a good day, right? And her ability, children are extremely resilient. It's so amazing to see, right? Just the level of resilience within children. I'm just trying to figure out at times, where does it happen? Where does the switch happen when you become an adult, that you allow, you know, your tenacity to be challenged to the point where, you know, unfortunately people take their lives and these kinds of things, or, you know, because like, where does that happen? Right. Like at some point something happens and you're no longer as resilient as you once was, like as innocent you once were, right? So, but that's what I wanted to tell you, right? The other thing I wanted to tell you is the cool thing about this, a podcast, we could ramble on, we could do whatever it is we want to do. You know why? Because it's ours.
Yes.
Spark.N.STRIDE is our platform. So don't feel like, hey man, I'm talking too much or I'm doing it. Doesn't matter. Like, dude, I can edit it. I can edit things out. You'll sound like Obama giving a speech. You know what I mean?
Which is crazy. Like with the way our technology is advancing, it's the other day I saw like a video with David Goggins. He's one of the people that I love listening to, because it's just his mind, his body, his spirit is so clean and powerful. He has his own story. Yeah. But somebody edited a video as if it was him, and he went up. He was like, "Yeah, that was me." You know, so it's like, you got to be careful nowadays. It's like, this is us, this is him, this is nobody else.
Yeah, no, for sure, this is me.
Spark.N.STRIDE.
No, but for sure that whole thing with like the voiceovers and the face over or whatever, the whole thing with like the AI and all that thing. If you want to get into a whole thing, let's get to it. What happened? What were you gonna ask me?
Wait, so you've heard of ChatGPT?
Yeah, for sure.
How you feel about that?
So like
for people that don't know what ChatGPT is,
you're asking the wrong guy, bro. Like I don't even want to appear to sound like I know what I'm talking about. All I know is that the technology for the AI system is incredible.
Yes.
Right. It's incredible what you could type in there and what it'll like spit out. You know, I'm really interested in how like college professors are adapting to that, right? Because I mean, dude, like you could have it write you like a whole paper.
Essay, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which for people that don't know what ChatGPT is it's a generation of it's like Google on steroids. If you think about it. And what's crazy is that you could ask it whatever it is that you want, like literally anything, and it'll tell you verbatim how to get an LLC. You know, what's wrong with your business, or anything you're thinking about. And what's also crazy, and my sister was telling me about it the other day, is that it's honestly like third generation, like 3.5. And this is going back to maybe 2-3 years ago when they first started it. So I guess they're on a new generation that they're working on, and we don't even know about it. They've been working on it for 2 years already. So imagine, it's going back. Like we're not even caught up yet. So it's like, you know, what iPhone are we on? Like iPhone 14 right? Or something. Yeah. They probably did the iPhone 14 2 years ago. So it's like crazy how to think that, you know, it's like movies. Like the movies, it takes a year to actually put together. But these movies were made a year ago. And people don't be like, oh, that's a good movie. They made it a year ago. So you're like, wait, how does he have long hair? You know, he doesn't have short hair. It was a year ago.
Right.
People forget about that. But it's interesting because it gives people an opportunity, and it makes you challenge yourself even more. Because now professors, I know I'm thinking like, wow, did my student write this? Or like, it's taking a lot of people out of business. That's for one. I think it's gonna revolutionized everything. I don't think it's I think it's just free in the market right now. I don't think they have like an actual like establishment where it's not, you got to pay for it. Like I think it's just free now because I've used it before. But it's interesting. I think if you want to learn something and you don't know about a lot of things, I think you should really get on it before they actually,
start to monetize it.
Start to monetize it or whatever. And
how far away do you think we are from having like a robotic, like, girlfriend or boyfriend?
I think it's like I said, it's giving everybody an opportunity to kind of even up the playing field with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have, the opportunity to have an education or something, maybe, you go to the library and read books, but now you have like a whole system in front of you where if you ask it the right question, it'll tell you the response and you can use it for leverage. So,
yo, think about this for a second. Like, like eHarmony and like Tinder and all this. So number one, I am so glad that I missed that whole thing. Oh. Like, bro, like I am so glad. Like, I think I got on Tinder for a small period of time, and I'm just glad I wouldn't survive in that world. If I needed to, like, maybe when this comes out, maybe Tinder's not even a thing as popular. And there's so many different ones, right? Mm-hmm. But anyway, what I'm getting at is that, think about this for a second. What if there was a way that they could take all of like your Tinder profile, your eHarmony profile, whatever these online dating things, if they could take all that and like basically like download it into like a robot or a female robot that pretty much understands you completely, right? Like you as like, it understands Will, right? And
I think they're working on that already, if I'm not mistaken.
Would you date a robot?
I don't want to date a robot. I hope I'm not dating a robot.
But
you imagine?
But think about it though, like showing up to the baile with your robot girlfriend, like showing up to your networking event with your robot girlfriend.
Bro, it's scary, man. It's scary. It's mind-boggling to think that is even a possibility, and that's why again we go back to really appreciating who you have next to you and really opening up, being vulnerable. Because like I know I have my phone here. If I had my phone here and it picks up on half the things we're saying, the next day, if we're talking about cars, it shows me like 10 car advertisements. So just definitely listening. So you gotta like be careful what you say now, because it's like, there's cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
There's no encryption. People could, use it, and it's scary to believe. I mean, I hope my girlfriend is human.
Yeah.
And it's not processed. Do you check on your wife? You sure she's human?
Yeah, no, she's definitely human. I think she's half robot too, because she won't be taking no shit, bro. But you think the robot will give you attitude though?
I like a little attitude.
Yeah.
I'm Dominican, so I like a little spice, But
what if you could like program into it like a certain level of attitude, like just a little bit, little attitude, little docile?
Yo, baby, you don't work out today. Where you at?
What were you gonna ask me?
I was gonna ask you. So, I'm a little younger than you, but how do you feel like about your older generation, my generation, like what is it, the millennial generation, is what we call it? I feel like I'm old school. I love my 70s, and I was raised my mom and dad. I'm very old school.
Yeah.
My girl is a little older. But how do you feel about the old generation and this generation, and how, before I tell you my opinions, because I have strong opinions about this, how the young generation is not molded as we should have been, set on some setbacks, things that you've had in life. I feel like a lot of people nowadays, they look for an excuse, and then, they should be molded a different way. I'm sure back then, if you had an issue, you go talk about it in the street. You're not recording. You'll help someone out in the street if they need it. You're not recording and posting on social media or whatever. Like, so I just wanted your opinion on
man.
Old, the new.
So there's like a few different lenses and like how I could look through on this particular topic, right? So, part of being in the military, as you continue to like advance, you're going to like different what they call PME, professional military education. So what it is ultimately like different like levels of management, and these academies can be anywhere from like 4 to 6 weeks long. So for the most part, you could like now it's slowly turning into like computer based training or CBTs. But for the most part, there's these academies where like you go down, like you're living there, right? So you're living in like almost like a dormitory style setup, and you're going to school or class with like peers of your same rank and that kind of thing. So one of the things that we were learning about was like the current workforce on the civilian sector and in the military, and how these generations are in the workforce together. Right, so you have like the millennials, right, Gen X, right, yes. Gen Z, and like the boomers, right. So then one of the exercises that we did was we broke down all of the like stereotypes for each like generation, and then we, you start peeling the onion down, and you start getting down all the way down to the bottom, and really there isn't that you would think that there is so much different, that there are so many different things between each generation, but there's really not. Like there's one or two like little things where, for instance, like someone from what they would call like the boomer or like the Gen X, right? Or like Gen X, they value like work-life balance. So do millennials. Millennials to the point that they'll just leave a job. They will ultimately leave a job if they don't feel like it's good for them, right? Where other generations, they'll kind of like stick it out. But what I'm getting at is that when you really, really analyze these generations that are in the current workforce, there isn't that much of a difference between the two. There's a few things here and there, but it's not like a drastic, overcoming, like, right? So if you like, I love history, and I'm big into like just, like all the different like world wars and, what was going on socially in these different like periods, right? The 20s, the 30s, 40s. But every generation has had some sort of a critique for the new generation. It's just, it's almost like a rite of passage, right?
Yes.
But ultimately what I think is that one of the terms that I don't like is snowflake. I like that to me is such like I would never call someone a snowflake. You know what I mean? It's like it's demeaning. You know what I mean? But what I do think is that it's gonna come a point in time, the natural order of things, right? We get older, and as we get older, we tend to like take the back seat on things. It's almost like passing the baton.
Yes.
So eventually, the baton will be fully passed to this next generation. It's just the natural order. And it's up to this next generation to see what exactly they're going to do to like move us forward as a country, as a generation, or whatever it may be. I think what's really interesting though is like my daughter's generation, Generation Alpha.
So many different generations.
that is wild, because this generation has witnessed their parents work from home. They have lived through a pandemic, right? All these different things. So what do you think is going to happen when they become of age to enter the workforce? We could even go back. We don't even have to wait that long. Right now, today, 2023, the high school senior who's graduating or graduated already, right? Because we're in graduation season. That senior who just graduated lived through a pandemic. That senior was forced to go to school online from their house at some point. That person witnessed their parents work from home, or maybe not, depending on whether or not their parents were essential or not, yes, right? Like, yes.
That's another topic.
That was a whole nother thing, right? But ultimately, this person is now going to enter college, and in 4 years, they're going to be in the workforce. What do you think they're going to expect from the workforce?
Yeah, it changes the whole outlook, the whole perspective on everything, and it molds you for who you are, who you want to be, and who you want to become, essentially. Like, I think every situation is unique. We take a sample size. Right now, we're just looking at the sample size for our community, right, America. But if we look at a bigger, grand scope of things, and we start adding Europe, and we start connecting, history from Europe or history from North America, or whatever the case might be, we're able to really get to know who we are as a generation, where we're going, and how we got there, and what we're doing to move forward. We don't know, like if we look at America, right, we're different than how China does things because they have a dictatorship or whatever it might be. Right now, America's democratic. If you want to separate, the sample size through politics, right? Because that could be, people tend to be different. Like in Cuba, right? They don't have the abilities that where they could perform a podcast just like we are. Just like we're talking, they can't put it online just because they're kind of governed through that dynamic. So it's definitely interesting. I feel like a lot of it has to do with the way you're raised. A lot of it has to do with the experiences you've had, whether you're gonna grow up to be lazy or not. Like I'm a very firm believer. My mom and dad, they have a third grade education. I'm the first to go to college, to speak English, all that good stuff. My examples are my mom and dad. My dad got up 6 a.m., got home at 8 p.m. They're my why. So the things I've done, the things that I want to do is an inspiration to them. So frankly, I show it through my clients, and if you're looking for an excuse, you'll always find one. So I get really upset when there's people, because I get upset because I know that they have potential. So when I see a kid, that is just wasting time away, there's nothing bad with video games, but wasting their life away with video games, and they're like a specimen. And there's people that I know that they're born with one leg. I'm like, come on, use your potential. So I think that's what like irritates me a little bit, because I know that myself, I want to build my family's name. If you look at life is like a race, right? Say everybody starting on the same race, like all the horses, right? Take a horse race. We're on the same line. But you're born, with certain skill sets. You're born with certain things, certain defects, or sometimes you're just in that situation. So, like, I know it's gonna sound crazy, but stay with me. So we have a race.
I've been with you since the beginning, brother.
We have a race, right? We have a race, and in that race, there's certain things that you can't control. We can't control how we're born. We can't control if our family comes from money or not, right? We're in that race. So you take me for example. I have 2 legs, I have 2 feet, I have eyes. I'm in great health. Right now I'm on. I'm with the other horses. I don't know. I'm starting in the same line. But if you look at it from a grander scheme of things, I didn't come from money. I wasn't. There's nothing wrong with being born in the Hamptons, but I wasn't born in the Hamptons. I have humble beginnings, and that's molded me a certain way. So I know how to deal with adversities, challenges that might come my way. Now, I'm not saying that someone that's born with that social class isn't, but I've had to deal with it early on. So now my mind, my body, my spirit is molded to, whatever challenges come, I've dealt with worse, especially like growing up where you grew up. Like say, like I'm in New York, I grew up in the Bronx, I had a gun pulled on me when I was young. So it's like, you see an evolution. So now like, that's where I work out, or like something happens tragic. And I'm like, oh, I've been through worse, because you know what it's like. So now, but you take that situation, that same race, other people are even more extreme. They're born with 1 leg. So now they're not starting with me. They're born with 1 leg in the race. Maybe, their dad or their mom passed away young. Boom. They don't have a support system. Maybe they're born with like a rare disease. Boom. Now, so you see, so everybody in that race, and it's a race called life, right? Whether you think, you're born, like people always, I feel like a lot of people look for an excuse. I didn't get this because I'm Hispanic. I didn't get this because I'm black. Or you got this because you got more money. Like, listen, it's a race. Yes, some of us are born in you think it's a better situation, but honestly, it might not be. So if you were born, and you have like humble beginnings or whatever, and you had to work for your money and you had to work for it, be grateful for those moments, because guarantee you there's others that maybe they were born with more money, or, if I take finance to be like a structure, they're not going to have the setbacks that you had early on. So you're better to deal with any challenges ahead, because you already dealt with it before. Those that maybe are born with, money, and now, crisis happens like COVID, and now they don't have money. Now they're going to be depressed and start no alcohol. But like, you've dealt with it already. So now you're going to be back to, with the other horses. So I know it's crazy to think of it that way, but that's how I think about it in life. and goes back to life coaching and everything. And I have a strong social, presence in terms of my mom, my dad, my sister, my little brother. I have a big family, and I take full responsibility for whatever happens, and I'm sure you do as well, because I feel your energy. I feel like you're not gonna let life dictate the way you want your life to be, and people have to take precedence in the failures that come, and take little pieces of everything. So if I know you're older, and you're wiser, you've been through certain things, I'm gonna be a sponge, and I'm gonna learn from you, and I'm gonna marinate it and make it my own. Other people that are closed in and say, "A guy is young, he doesn't know what he's talking about." They're closing themselves off to so many opportunities. Me, like, you got to learn how to wear different hats. I'm wearing a hat right now. We're just conversating. You're the host, but I'm wearing the hat of just being myself.
Of course.
But if I'm in the workplace, I'm a police officer. I got to wear a hat of police officer. Head up, chest up, eyes looking forward. Boom. I'm a public servant. If I'm a baseball coach, or I'm a life coach, I'm wearing that hat. So once you learn how to wear different hats, you're unstoppable. You have so much potential, and you're powerful, because you're not gonna let anything or anyone dictate how you want your life to be. Obviously, you have things in life that test you. People get sick, people die. Financial crisis. World crisis like COVID, and these are tests. But ultimately, it's a race, and everybody's endpoint is different. I just want to keep driving, like I keep riding that horse and see where it takes me. I don't mean horse like that.
No. So
I know I said a lot there. But.
No, I mean, like, what's interesting though too, right, is like in terms of like being able to acknowledge the fact that not everybody starts off on the same starting line. Nope. You know what I mean? I always find it impressive when you meet someone and you think that from what you see that what that person or who that person is. But then like when you really get a chance to know them and you sit down and you speak to them and you learn their background, you're like, man, like I had no clue that you were going through that, or that, that was part of your background. And, all these, you got to take time to like really to know people, right? And I think what we were talking about before, like the different generations, right now, a lot of stuff is done online. A lot of stuff is done, behind your phone or behind your keyboard, and the interaction part of it, slowly like kind of, it's almost like non-existent to a certain extent, right? You're living in the meta, yes, which is not, yes, it's not real. What I wanted to tell you though too, Will, is like I went to your event in May, right? Yes. Your autism event. And I'm an outsider looking in, right, to what you had put together. And what I wanted to share with you, and I didn't get a chance to do it that day because there was just so much going on, and you were in it, right? Like you were in it. So what I want to tell you is that what was really cool about that event was that you were, number one, leading by example, right? That was the first thing you were doing, in my opinion. But also all those younger folks that were there, like those teenagers, those younger cadets and so forth, they're seeing you, right? And they're seeing what you're doing, what you've done. Maybe they know a little bit about your background. That's inspiring for a young person. You know what I mean? Because those young folks that were there, like now they're seeing like the impact of like service before self, community involvement. Like they're seeing it, Yeah. And you may not see the fruits of your labor.
Yeah, I'm getting emotional now. Sorry.
No, but I think and that says a lot about you, right?
Because like I think everybody has like the ability to just be great, and I put these events together, and I'm trying to do it, and with the NYPD, but we all have an opportunity to share the things we've dealt with in life, whether you're doing a cancer event or you're doing an autism event. The other day I was telling my sister, why are we waiting? We had a death in the family. Why are we waiting for that just to be together? Why can't we just get together Sundays when we can? We let life get in the way. You said earlier about, your daughter being innocent. I believe we're all kids living in adult suits, and we got to just just be a kid sometimes, and just take an opportunity to just, connect. So I put these events together, yes, to raise money, but it's also to connect, to be able to come together and for a purpose, for a cause. I've said that before, and that's what my foundation is about. I want to create a YMCA on steroids. That's what I want to do, and with health and wellness being the basis of it. So, seeing these kids, they come together, it makes me feel good because it's emotional, and people don't understand the impact that you could have, and it comes through like there's a lot of hate that happens as well in the background, but I want people, give me all the hate because I know I've dealt with worse in life. So, and I know I'm young, and a lot of people might say, oh, this kid is doing this, but I don't care. I don't gravitate towards that energy. But having the impact that I've had, it's not about me. As Kobe said it once, when they asked him about a big game that he had, you want people to feel sorry for you. And he's like, yo, it's not about him. It's about the team. It's not about me. So, that's why, I don't even put my face on these events. It's LiveMore. I want to create like a whole new, like a whole new idea, a whole new identity. As you talked about Michael Jordan, he revolutionized Nike. Like it's Nike. It says it's just do it. And they've evolved. And I watched the movie the other day how the shoe represented his story, how he was cut from his high school team, and he was gonna surpass, and his name was gonna live on from generation to generation. And he revolutionized the sneaker. Air Jordan. You could jump like him, you could be like him, and so it just inspires people. So, sorry I cut you off, but it was just like I've done this. Well, I have like 5 years doing Fit Fest for cancer, and I've done autism events, but just bringing people together is the ultimate goal. And if I could help along the way, and I know I do 10 videos, 5, if I have 10 viewers, 5 are gonna hate, but it's not about the 5, it's about the 3, and maybe those 3 take it. People, I don't want to do it. 1 will be inspired, and then he'll keep going, or she'll keep going to the other generations before us. So that's why I asked you about, generation. We all have something to learn from each other.
No, man. So I want to add on to what you were just saying, right? But so in regards to what you're doing, what you're passionate about, and being a servant leader to the younger folks in your community, right? You're not gonna get everyone to fall in line with your vision, and that's okay. Going back to like Nike and Air Jordan, to the movie, right? Mm-hmm. If you remember, there was like a whole team of people that were trying to get Michael Jordan to see their vision.
Yes, Converse and what was it?
It was a Converse
and Adidas, yeah,
right? Yeah. But Nike they were pitching him their vision, right? He, for whatever reason, needed to, well, not for whatever reason, but they were pitching him the idea, right? So what I'm getting at is that was their vision, right? So you're not always gonna for whatever reason, sometimes people can't see your vision, right? And that's okay, right? Because you got to understand that a lot of times, like one thing is someone not seeing your vision, and someone is just flat out being a hater, right? Being a hater, ultimately, they're just those are insecurities. That's internal anger. Yes. You know what I mean? And you need those people too. But you, like you said, you decide where you're gonna focus your energy, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes you'll have folks that they're not hating on you. They just don't see your vision, right? And again, that's okay as well.
It comes with the process. Right?
It comes with the process, right? Because it's your vision, right? And you're ultimately doing something in front of people that have never seen that done before. It's hard for them to comprehend or consume that, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe these are folks that they're just a little bit older in their careers or whatever. Maybe they don't have the time or the time to invest into something like what you're doing. They don't know how to do it, right? Maybe you're not afraid. You're not afraid to put yourself out. You're not afraid to fail, right? So there's all these different things that go into it, but ultimately consistency is key. So, you just got to keep going forward, man. And you're already doing it.
Yes.
You're already doing it. And the impressive thing is that you're reflective on it, right? It'd be another thing if you were just like off on your, on your mission and your movement, and you're not reflective on anything. That would be, in my opinion, a little scary, right? But no, man, like you're reflective, you acknowledge kind of like what your environment is, and you're figuring out how to maneuver it. That's good stuff, man.
Yeah,
but
it's chess, it's not checkers too.
No,
And
100%.
And now look, I love that in the back. It was all a dream, big. How's your journey coming along thus far? Did you know you were gonna have a setup like this after your military career, and now you're able to give back some of your stories and learn others as well? Because that's what you're doing. You're connecting people.
Yeah, for sure.
So, like, how's your journey been thus far? I'm sure you had a lot of hate too. And
brother, like, so I was telling someone the other day, like, so number one, this literally came to me in a dream. That quote by Biggie. That's why it resonates with me so much. So I have PTSD. I struggle with anxiety.
Wow.
So what I do in terms of like the anxiety portion is I journal at night. Something that like my my therapist told me would be beneficial. It's like you journal at night so like you brain dump everything, and it's supposed to like help you like go to sleep. And I literally had a dream that I was speaking to a bunch of people, and like it was SPARK.N.STRIDE and the color scheme and the colors and the whole thing. I woke up and I took my pad, my journal, and I went right into my kitchen, and I just started writing everything down. I just wrote down everything. I wrote down, I still have the list of all the people that I would want to speak to. You know what I mean? I have it put away somewhere. So that was the initial step. Prior to that, I was converting this room into a guest room, and I just wanted a desk because I knew that I needed a workspace. And then the desk went from being like a 6-foot desk to being an L-shaped desk.
Yeah.
And then it just and then
manifested.
It just manifested itself, right? And then like my big inspirations have been Joe Rogan, yes, Nori from Drink Champs, Mike Tyson, hot boxing, like these have been because the cool thing is that I think if you continue on, for me, in terms of my vision, if I continue on, eventually I will get to the point where the folks that I'm talking to are going to be so different than each other. Similar to like, a Joe Rogan podcast or Mike Tyson, hot boxing. Like the guests, they're just so different, right? This is not solely a military podcast. No, Mach was in the military. I'm a veteran. I served 24 years. So there's a portion, clearly some of that's going to come out, yes, in whatever conversations we're having.
Definitely.
Because it's been part of my background, right? It's been, most of my adult life has been in the military, and then the things that I've been passionate about has been wellness, mental health, resiliency, personal development. And what I've noticed is that leading up to where we are today, in any kind of like setting that I was in, conversational setting, I would always notice that there was some sort of wellness aspect to the conversation or resiliency. And maybe, I've mentioned it on the podcast before, maybe instinctively I was focusing on that, but I'm like, man, it's a topic, or there are topics that are so universal to everyone. You know what I mean? So I don't think that I have to have like a wellness guru,
yes,
or a resilient professor. I don't think that I have to
have a title, right?
Have that. Yeah. I just think that we all share all these different. If you've been through anything in life, if you've had any challenges, if you experienced adversity, there's a part of your wellness that was affected. There's a part of your mental health that was affected. Your resiliency, and then ultimately, personal development, I think, is something that if you're not doing, I like to think that it's something that people want to do. Maybe for whatever reason, they don't have the time, or they think that they don't have the time, or they're just not making it a priority, or whatever the case may be, right? Like, I'm into all kind of stuff. Like I grew up in New York City. I grew up in the projects. I grew up on welfare. Like I never, went fishing. I didn't grow up camping. I didn't grow up doing things outdoors. But now as an adult, I'm fascinated by all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So and it's important for me to expose my daughter to all of this kind of stuff as well. So we do quite a bit, and again, I think it's opportunity is making the opportunity for yourself. So I have a list of like a bucket list, and I have all kinds of stuff on there, like scuba diving, skydiving, camping, learn how to ride a motorcycle in a foreign country, like stuff like that, and I've slowly checked off. I've been, learn how to play golf. Like that's my next thing. Now that I'm retired, I want to take golf lessons and I want to learn how to play golf. The motorcycle part, taught myself, took classes, learned how to ride a motorcycle. And in 2000, I learned how to ride a motorcycle in 2012. Yeah. And in 2016, I rode a dirt bike from Saigon in Vietnam to Hanoi, which is like the equivalent of like going from like Florida to like New Jersey or something like that.
Wow.
Took 2 weeks, over 2,000 kilometers.
How was that like?
Man, it was amazing, man. It was one of the best trips of my life, dude. It was so incredible. And
you probably built up like so much endorphins, dopamine,
natural
serotonin, like
you want to hear about it? I can tell you a little bit about it. Yeah, all right, cool. So one of my buddies, he's like a big traveler, this guy named Tommy, right? So I run into him at like a bar on the Jersey Shore. And I walk into the bar and he's like, hey Mach, what's up, man? He's like, dude, you should come with me to Vietnam. Random, right? I'm like, what? Like, he's like, yeah, man, like we're planning a trip to Vietnam. It's going to be me, this person. So it was like 4 of us, right? And I thought he was like BSing, right? So he's like, yeah, man. So my wife was next to me. I look over at my wife. My wife was like super cool. She's like, do whatever you want. So anyway, later that night, I call him. And I'm like, because, like you're at the bar, we're drinking Long Island iced teas. It's summertime, I'm like, bro, like, were you for real?
Like, did you mean that?
He's like, no, bro. Yeah, like, booked the ticket. Got it. So long story short, I booked the ticket. We go. And Vietnam is an amazing country. I mean, I don't know the exact number, but there's millions of people on like their main transportation is a scooter or a dirt bike. And you, like, when we got there, you would see like 2, 3, sometimes 4 people like on a 50cc scooter. You would see people balancing like, all kinds of like bags of like rice and dude, it was incredible, right? But in any case, the Ho Chi Minh Trail, which was the supply trail or the supply route that the North Viet Cong used during Vietnam to like move troops and supplies and all that stuff, they've paved that. So it's like a tourist thing. So you have people coming from all over the place to ride motorcycles, dirt bikes, or even drive through the Ho Chi Minh Trail, right? Or road. It's like a legit paved highway almost. So we literally we went from Saigon up the Ho Chi Minh Trail or road or so forth, and we went out to Da Nang, which is like on the coast. And the cool thing about it is that you're riding this dirt bike and you're just seeing the entire country. So you're just,
oh man,
like, I don't know if you've ever ridden a motorcycle or not, if you know how, but
yes,
you're just, you know how it is. You kind of like, you're not on your phone. You have to focus on what you're doing. You're using everything. You're
enjoying everything around.
Yeah, and you're just seeing this beautiful country, this landscape, just like you're soaking it all in. The cool thing is that every night we stayed in a different city, town, or village. So along the trail, on the way up to Hanoi, sometimes we would have to stay like in a little village. So like their version of like an Airbnb kind of a thing, like with the rice paddies on both sides, like a small village, dude. Like, and then you got to understand, like in Vietnam, they don't wear like all the safety gear that we would. So, but we had like helmets on and reflective colors and that kind of thing. So when we roll up into these little villages, we look like we're from outer space. You know what I mean? But no, man, it was cool. And then maybe the next night was like a city. So we actually stayed like in a legit city. And then ultimately we made our way to Hanoi. We got there 2 days early. So we returned the motorcycles. Yeah, man, it was just, so one of the coolest things that happened on that trip. So my wife and I were trying to get pregnant prior, right? So we went through like all these tests and everything. We did 2 rounds of IVF. It was extremely expensive. It wasn't covered by our insurance or anything like that. So we go and they're giving us back our results from all the lab work, right?
Okay.
And they're like, hey, listen, like you guys are healthy, just that, you know, your wife is a little older, like she's not producing eggs like a 20-year-old, but you guys, there's nothing wrong.
Yes.
So, okay, well, that's good to hear. That's good to know. So then the last night in Vietnam, get ready for this. Well, this is crazy. So
I got the shivers.
my buddy, the whole time, he's trying to find a place where we can go eat snake, right? The cool thing about the trip too is that everybody on the trip was like a legit foodie, right? Like no one was afraid of trying new food or anything like that. Like that's not the country to go do that anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So so it just so happens that when we got to Hanoi, he legit found the place, and it was like 30 minutes, 20 or 30 minutes outside of the city. So this place legit just, that's what they serve is snake. So snake is a delicacy in Vietnam. So on average per day while we were on the trip, we didn't spend more than like $10 on food for the whole day. I'm talking about like breakfast, lunch, dinner. Like it didn't go past $10. So we go to this place, we're gonna eat a snake, right? So the guy meets us downstairs, and you know they're excited that we're there and everything, and they have all these cages almost like these wooden boxes
full of snakes,
and there's different snakes in each different one, and then they're different sizes, they weigh differently, that kind of thing, right? So the guy's like, okay, like for you guys, you know, I want to say it was like 11 or 12 kilos, the weight, right? So he calls the guy out, the snake handler opens up the cage, and you know, so there's all these different species of snakes, but what we were there to do was to eat like king cobra. The guy pulls out the king cobra, he's like handling it like in front of us. We're like, whoa, right? Like,
so it's alive right now.
It's alive, bro.
It's alive, and they're killing it in front of you, and you're just eating.
It is alive, right? So so now we go upstairs. They show us the table where we're gonna sit at. They have the king cobra. We say okay, like that's the one. So the handler, he's holding it a certain way where like
how close are you in proximity? Like are you scared? Is your wife has you?
Well, my wife wasn't there. It was just me and the guys.
But you want to call it?
No. So I am a good distance away where I felt safe, right? Because what I didn't want was like to be close to this, and like for some reason the guy lets the snake slip, and the snake just. Could you imagine on your last day in Vietnam, you get bit by a cobra?
And but you got your boys around. Like, you also don't want to be a bitch. You're like,
yeah, exactly,
like,
right?
I'm gonna stay here.
So anyway, I'm watching from a distance. So the guy's handling the snake. He's holding it a certain way where like the cobra is like fanned out, right? Like, right. So he got his. It looks amazing. The cobra has his mouth open, right?
Oh my gosh!
So with a knife, he like literally takes the fangs out. He cuts the
tonsils.
Yeah, so the fangs are on the floor. He does like an incision, pulls out the heart, and then they take the head off.
Oh my gosh!
And we're just
right in front of you.
Right in front of us.
You see everything.
We're like, oh my God, right?
And the blood comes out and everything.
Yeah, there's right. So they now they take the snake away, right? They come back with 4 shots of blood, cobra blood, and 4 shots of cobra bio. Right. And then the person is customary for the person who put it together or whatever, like that person eats the heart. So we're sitting down, and then at the end of the table, they have a rice liquor that's infused with the cobra venom.
Mm.
So there's this big jar, and at the bottom of it, there's this cobra like curled up in it, and it's rice liquor.
Rice liquor.
So we take a shot of the bio. Take a shot of the blood, take a shot of the bio.
What?
Now we're taking shots of the rice liquor. And in Vietnam, when you order like beer or anything like that, like they don't just come bring you one beer. They bring you a case, and you get charged for how much you drink. Right? So they come and they bring us out like a 24 pack.
I feel like going to Vietnam.
Yeah, dude, it's amazing, right? Now what's happening is they're bringing us out different like servings of food from the snake.
And you just drank the blood too. So how do you feel? You didn't get...
Bro, we're like, it's an experience, right? So what they did with the snake, they made 2 different kinds of soup. They sauteed it, they steamed it, then they took the bones and they made it into like a stir fry, like a fried rice. So we stay in this restaurant for like 2.5 hours. We're just there eating and taking shots of the rice liquor. Bro, when we left there, oh my God, dude, we were like, it was wild. So the owner, he's telling me, he's like, hey, this is what he tells me: be careful, you are very fertile. What are you talking about, bro? Like, and I'm drunk and I'm just like, I'm being like respectful or whatever, but I'm like, he must have said it like 5 times. Fast forward.
Oh shit.
Me and another guy that went on the trip that we were both trying to got pregnant. So
what?
I got back from Vietnam. My wife got pregnant like a few weeks later.
Oh my gosh.
And his wife got pregnant a few weeks later.
So because of, and what's ironic is that your wife was right next to you when he was like, yeah, let's go to Vietnam.
Yeah.
And you guys were worried, like in the back of your head, like, damn, we want this baby.
Yeah.
So you, with that trip, so you owe your friend, like,
but remember, he also had a kid too. So we both have it's the other 2 guys, I don't think they were trying to get pregnant, but I think if they wanted to, they probably would have too.
No, but it's just, first off, thank you for that. It's beautiful and it's breathtaking to hear that not only the culture, the tradition, the experiences you've had, and that's a beautiful story, and a beautiful life formed right after. I didn't know this. I'm sure a lot of people listening to this are gonna be like, if they ever have, one of the, if they ever want, more fertilization, I guess, they go drink shots of snake blood.
Sure.
But the beautiful thing about that trip is that you were willing to go there, and you were willing to try these experiences, and you were willing to put yourself out there, and like you said, you weren't on your phone. You were just enjoying the moment. You had that snake in front of you. You were like, yeah, let's do it. Fuck it. And it's, a lot of people don't take time to even appreciate. Like you said, you were going back to your motorcycle, and you were like just taking it all in. And it reminds me of the trip I had last year. Came off a breakup or whatever, and then I went to Colombia with my boys.
Okay.
And I've never been out. I've always wanted to go to Colombia, and
Where'd
I've heard
go?
many
Where'd you
things.
go?
Medellin.
Okay, you went to Medellin.
So my boys, they wanted to just go party and everything, but I'm very much like you. Like I love traveling, and I love just taking it all in, and I want to experience new things. So we went to see Pablo Escobar's museum over there.
Oh wow,
man, he's big there. He built say what you say. I know it's a very controversial topic,
sure.
but
he's
built. He's looked over there to be like a lord. He's built over 17,000 homes over there, and his whole family's there.
17,000?
Yes. They say that there's still money. He has so much money. There's still money being like in Colombia, in the dirt of Colombia. That's how much money he had.
Wow.
Yeah, he's looked to be a lord over there. But it was beautiful because we took a day and we went out. We got away from our little hub that we were in. We're like right in Medellin. We went to El Campo. El Barrio. El Barrio is known to be one of the poorest areas. And I remember playing basketball with this 5-year-old trying to hustle me for my money. It was funny. And what's cool about that trip is that despite the fun times we had at night and, we socialized, we took a minute to really take it in. We went up to this place called El Barrio. And we went all the way up. It's a big hill. They say that it takes over 2 hours just to reach the top of the hill. And they said that the poorest of people live on the top of the hill, and it makes you feel grateful and thankful for what you have. Because imagine You live so high up. It takes you 2 hours just to get water and food for your family. So 2 hours to go up and 2 hours to come back down just to bring food and water to your family. So it really puts things in perspective. So, you know, going back to like being appreciative and everything, these trips, that trip that you had, like not only did you form a beautiful life, but, you know, you had the ability to like put things into perspective and pause and you're like, wow, like, you know, like a lot of people don't do that nowadays. I feel like they don't. Idiosyncrasies are things that only you know about that other person, only you know like about situation at hand. That's why you and your wife are together. You know, little impedellos that only she knows about you.
Oh yeah,
she knows how you like your coffee in the morning. She knows what makes you tick or whatever. That's love. That's those are impedellos. So, you know, people have to. I feel like if I'm gonna give one advice, I want to ask you know, that question to you. But if I'm gonna give one advice to someone right now in my situation, is not sound corny, cliche, but to be willing to go there. That's simple. Be willing to go there. Whatever you do. Oh, you have an interview. Be willing to go there. Go sit down for that interview. Oh, yeah, I don't want to try this food. No, be willing to go there. Try that food. You know, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to work out and burn this amount of weight. Be willing to go there. Like, just be willing to do it.
Oh, I like
and
that,
once you're willing to do that, you'll see how, like you with this podcast, you were willing to go there. You know, it's success is just little daily checklist. That's it, little daily checklist. Like you were talking about this table. Oh, you don't know it's round, or, you know, rectangular, whatever. You were willing to try it and just buy one, and you're like, I don't like it. Buy another one. You were willing to go there. I have a podcast out. I have like 40 episodes. I'm willing to go there. You know, yeah, it sounds weird listening to yourself. Like, oh, and people judge you, and they're like, oh, this kid has a podcast, whatever. Be willing to go there. Despite the noise, despite the criticism.
Sorry, what's the name of your podcast?
It's called Life Intentions.
Okay.
Life Intentions podcast. So just like we're talking now, but it's more short clips, and I write poetry as well. So, you know, sometimes I just try to take 2 minutes for myself. You know, I work a lot and I'm everywhere, but 2 minutes for myself. And for me, I call it it's kind of corny, like a diary pod, like a diary pod. So if I'm not around from my future kids, I want to have a big family. At least they can have that, you know, podcast. Like, oh, look, my young future son or my young future daughter. If I'm not there, my podcast is there, and they go like, oh, look, this is how your dad was. This is how he sounded like. So,
man, that's a great idea.
I don't know. So
that's a great idea, man. I like that. That's what's up, man.
Yeah. So. I'm just, you know, I'm taking it all in. I'm in awe because, you know, you're a credible person and you've done so much, and people don't even know the depths of you. You don't know the depths of yourself. So just be willing to go there. So what advice would you give to, you know, a 27-year-old like me, or, you know, 31-year-old like you?
Man, there's so much that like I would like to share, but I think one of the things that I would, if it was like advice, my advice would be put yourself first. Put yourself first, right? And what I mean by that is, you know, it can be perceived like being selfish or you know, being self-centered or anything. But I think what a lot of people fail to realize is that if you cannot put yourself first or take care of yourself first, you're no good to the ones around you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I would and of course with balance, right? Like there has to be balance in everything. But I think one of the things that I'm trying to be better about is putting myself on the list, right? Because I think just like you said, right, doing a bunch of little things, making a little checklist, if I reflect back on a lot of my checklists, I'm not on it. Everything else is on it.
That's deep.
Everything else is on it, but me. Right. So I think in this next chapter of my life, I want to focus on being better for myself, because I just know that when I'm healthy, when I'm in a healthy mindset and space, everything else around me is just better.
Yes, you know, it's like a domino effect.
It's a domino effect. You know what I mean? So if there was any advice that I could kind of like give to anyone.
Yeah,
you know, it doesn't matter age or anything like that. And I'll leave you like with one other thing too, is just take the time to learn things from other people. doesn't matter how old they are. Like that is obsolete in my opinion.
Yes.
But I think, back to what we were talking about before about like the different generations and that thing, we need each other. There's just no getting around that, right? An older person can learn a lot from a younger person if they take the opportunity to learn or hear or listen or absorb, and the same thing for like a younger person. You may think that you know everything and you got everything figured out, and you definitely have way more information at a faster pace than what we grew up on, but there's no substitute for life experience.
Yes.
There's none.
Awesome.
You know what I mean? So yeah, man. I mean, I think those are like two things that I would like kind of like, in terms of advice or anything.
Yeah. And it's important too, because everybody always tries to find like little doses of life, of inspiration everywhere. That's why we go on YouTube. That's why, we watch TV. We want to just forget about our current situation. So, and everybody always tries to oversimplify, or everybody tries to make things like bigger than they are.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes put yourself first. Sometimes be willing to go there. These are just things that you could do for you. Like, you served in the military, you did your time, and now you gotta all right, what can I do for me and my family?
Mm-hmm.
What can I build in my groundwork so maybe I can help more others later on? This is a great mentor of mine. I know a lot of people don't know this, but I've always been creating stuff. Like, when I was in high school, all I wanted to do in middle school, they have a process where you get to select your top 12 schools. And I messed up when I was like in elementary school. I hang out with the wrong people and everything. But later on, I was hit by a vehicle. And they said I was unconscious. First time I was hit by a vehicle twice, but first time I was hit by a vehicle, they said I was unconscious. They said that I died, and I used to hang out with the wrong people. They said that I feel like my mom even said it, like, "Oh, tú eras malcriado." Like,
Mm-hmm.
I used to be very mouthy, and she said that like the bad came out of me during that accident.
Wow.
I started doing better with my grades, and
Wow.
long story short, I wanted to go in 8th grade. I got my stuff together, and I wanted to go to a good school with a good baseball team. That's all I wanted. And the best school at that time was Beacon High School. And I remember I got my grades up, so I had like a 85 average or whatever going in, because they take your average when you're in middle school, and in New York City school system, they select your top choices, but you get 12 selections. So I remember I had like the first 4 schools were there that I wanted. They had a good baseball team and a solid, school system, or education system based on the reviews.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to say schools are bad, but just in general,
right,
people have selections.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I got selected into Manhattan Village Academy High School, and that was like my 8th choice. I was like, wow. It didn't have a baseball team, but it was a very good school. So I went in still front and center. And I remember I walked up to a school principal the very first day. I'm like, listen, I want to start a baseball team here. There's no baseball team. He's like, kid, it's first day. Like, fix your tie. Go back downstairs. It's still one of the best high schools in New York. So I went back downstairs, fixed my tie. I'm like, I'm still going to do a team here. So I was always motivated. And he was like, yeah, people have tried that. So I remember the second weekend, I made a petition with other high school coaches, with school teachers, and it was very the ratio was it was like very Hispanic school. Like, it was structured like almost like a Catholic school,
Mm-hmm.
where they had uniforms and it was very disciplined. I wanted that. I don't want to have to worry about what I'm wearing the next day and to
Mm-hmm.
impress me. I wanted a uniform. I wanted to go in and and I remember I walked up to other high school coaches trying to start my own baseball team, and I got like 20 kids that were interested. I was good. I was always good at baseball. So it was a nice day. It was October, so it was still warm out. So the 20 people that signed up, I was like, yo, let's go to Van Cortlandt Park, which is a field in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
Said, let's go there and we'll have like a practice. So I got like a bucket of balls, and I'm fucking 15 years old, and I'm hitting baseballs to like the kids that are interested and saying, oh, let's see if we have potential. And then I see this older man, it's a mentor that I'm speaking about. And I see him with his team very organized, like, and uniforms and everything. And that's what I wanted. So, I was like, give me a second. So after I'm hitting ground balls, I walk up to this, 70-year-old man Like, listen, sir, my name is William de la Cruz. You know, I'm in Manhattan Village Academy because we have a little game against each other, scrimmage. He's like, get the fuck out of here, kid. I'm trying to have a game. I'm like, oh, sir, sorry to bother you. Very respectful. Like, so I go back, hitting my fly balls, ground balls. I guess he peeps an eye on me. And he walks over to me. He's like, kid, come, we'll have a little game with you. So 15 years old with a like pen in my ear, and I'm, you know, giving everybody the positions. I'm like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And we had some talented people already. So I'm playing shortstop, and, we scored 3 runs the very first inning. So then his team hits. And mind you, this is like October. So the weather is like, it's like 5 or 6 o'clock. Like you can see the weather starts getting to dawn. So I remember I made a diving play. I hit a triple the first inning. So he starts trying to recruit me for his team. So long story short, this mentor became like my second father. He showed me the other side of the river kind of stuff. He helped me with my English. He helped me with my writing. And he became like an uncle to me. He ended up sponsoring me 2 years in and took me out of that school, and I went to St. Raymond's High School for boys. So my junior and senior year, the first year as a junior, I helped them win a city championship that they haven't done in the last 15 years. So
wow.
Yeah, he's second father to me. So
wow.
White man, you know, I'm Hispanic, so that guy, that man, he showed me like what my parents couldn't give me, he has given me in like a mentorship kind of way.
Yeah.
And he took me to Cooperstown one day. We went up to see a baseball game, and he drove up and taught me a lot. And I was able to, junior year and senior year, I was able to get recruited, and I got several offers, D1, D2, D3, all over. And I ended up going to school in Massachusetts, Curry College. And you could hear a pen drop to this day. I don't know why. I just want to share this quick story. So
no.
One of my best friends, he's gonna be my best man now in my future wedding, but his name is Zach. Right? Shout out to Zach. So you could hear it clear as day, the very first day on campus. So I got a nice like grant scholarship. So I wasn't paying much, and this is a very expensive school. It was a school at Curry College in Massachusetts. So I went up there, and I was recruited by the coach, you know, #1 recruit. So everybody was already talking about me. So I went up there, and we're getting our assignments, and I see Zach, you know, white, and his family. You could hear a pen drop of how quiet it was, because I came in, I had like loud music. My mom and dad, you know, Dominican, and I was like, oh, damn, you know, I'm a city boy. I could tell this guy is a country kid already. Came in with like 2 trucks and stuff. So, and to this day, you know, he showed me the countryside. You know, how to hunt, how to fish. He took me to his house up in Maine. I went ice fishing. Couldn't feel anything.
Wow.
You know, and
you've been
we
ice
had
fishing?
we had a bonfire. He has like we just spoke, you know, with his family, and his family took me to Disney. He showed me and I showed him kind of the city. He came to New York a couple of times during the holidays, and we gave each other an opportunity. 3 days in, you know, we knew we were gonna hit it off. He's my best friend to this day, and he showed me he just like you're talking about like perception. He was like, we're talking about one day we got deep. We're like, hey, you know, the very first day we perceived each other like he thought, you know, I was just, you know, city loud kid or whatever. Like, you know, people have perceptions. I thought he was just like rich white boy or whatever. And we gave each other an opportunity to just be ourselves, be in the moment. And a form of friendship formed. And I visit him here and there. He visits me here and there. And it's a beautiful friendship. He's my best friend now. So the point of that story is to give each other an opportunity. You know, whether everybody has perceptions, everybody has the way you think someone is based on your own your own insecurities. So if we get that out the way for just a moment, and you're willing to understand someone or try to, doesn't matter if they're black, white, they're gay, whatever it may be, that could save a lot of lives, and that could help you in your life if you're just willing to try it. So I don't know why I said that. I hope people, you know, could resemble a little bit to that, or maybe they're, you know, based on this, they could, you know, give an opportunity. So,
brother, I think that's going to resonate with a lot of people. Trust me. Yeah, I really, really do. So, listen, I'm not sure how long we've been going. I think.
Oh yeah, we got a long time.
I'm not sure. I'm not really keeping track of time, but listen, if folks want to follow you, like just give us like your handle, your IG handle.
They can follow me at Will Go More, WILL Go More. That's my my main social media account, and then my brand is Go Live More.
Okay.
And I have a website, golivemore.org, and you could subscribe to my email, and you'll get updates. I do poetry, I do daily quotes and things like that. And me and you are gonna work on some future events coming up. We have one in August, and we'll tell them about it a little later.
Yep.
And I have a podcast out, Life Intentions, and YouTube. You search my name, William de la Cruz, and that's it. That's how they can follow me. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and you're gonna do great things.
No, man, I really appreciate you being here, man. I really appreciate you sharing just your passion for what you want to do. I see your vision, and you will have your YMCA go live more gym. I could see it. You know what I mean. You want to finish out with a poem?
Let's do it. Oh, wait, one of my poems?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. I'm going to share the very first poem that I think I wrote when I started my brand. That's the one I was trying to look for.
Okay.
It's called What Are You Living For? What's a story worth without living? Or a dream, just talking and just sitting? We walk and drive without a destination. We forget to use our past for motivation, using our trials and tribulations, pulling up somebody from below. Turning our struggles into success stories should be our only MO. Speaking, teaching, learning within ourselves. Traveling, experiencing, living more to living well. Using the energies around us for wisdom. Tuning into the world of opportunities with rhythm, with confidence and with health, with wellness and nothing else. Making that a priority. Making that a routine, creating a new energy in your life to confidently act out your dream. You make that your foundation and watch your life immense itself with unlimited potential. Old relationships, old jobs won't be so essential. Why? How? Because you found out your worth. You found out that you exist. You've awakened your light because you understand that someone in the world right now is in darkness, living in the gutter, going through hardships. Whether it's a workout or a dance or a corny poem like this one or one about romance, I want you to live more. I want you to dance more. I want you to live to be fit and healthy. I want you to dream more, to be more, aspiring to tell your story to many. Whatever it may be, I want you to feed your mind and help you find your purpose, your reason of living, by engaging your mind and body while building your confidence to live more with me. What are you living for?
Man, that was great. Damn, Will, that was dope, man.
Yeah, I wrote that like 5 years ago, 6 years ago when I started the brand. So
listen, I don't think there's anything else to say.
Nah, we got a lot more to say coming up later.
Listen, well said, man. Well said. That was really good. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you for. Yeah, I like that. Spontaneous.
Yeah. No, man, that's awesome. Listen, we'll be working together on a few things coming up. Some events, some networking events, some mental health stuff in the current year. I would like you to come back so that way we can promote these events that we're going to be working on. But ultimately, again, just thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Stay sparked.
Heavy duty. It's smart.